forges this memory with new energy and music on a revitalized Pier 62 to reignite the sense of celebration and community in the place where it all began. The Pier Sounds new concert series at Pier 62.
Visit puresounds.org for free tickets and more info.
You know you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Can't get enough of that. Can't get enough of that.
All right, we are live. Exodus Movement of Job People. Hi, new. And I'm Mazvita Maraire, your host. This is Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. And we're back. Yeah, we're back after a little jaunt to Las Vegas. Kind of a Viva Las Vegas. We did a little bit of it was a business trip. That's right. It was business. And went down there and saw the Sounders play in the inaugural League Champions Cup. So Brandon Brown joined me down there. And so he's actually going to come on for in just a moment for Lars Hanson of the Dawg Report, who is out on assignment. Lars is busy doing some stuff, and so if Brandon actually of Eli Sports and others, and obviously of our CascadiaSports.net post game on the pitch, and we did it down there too. So he's actually a regular in the show. So he's kind of a /co-host kind of thing. So we got a team, we got a squad. And that's what you want to do. You want to have talent and depth on a squad. So Brandon will be on, and we're going to talk all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's not like, we're not even going to talk about, right? So much to talk about in terms of the Seattle sports. This town is starting to feel like a sports town. It really is. And it's been a while since I was the 90s. And I don't know whether it's because they're winning, but I think all the teams are winning, but you have more teams now, professional teams in Seattle than you've ever had. The Kraken, the Mariners, the Seahawks, the Storm, and then you add, of course, the college teams that are there, the Huskies, football and basketball, the Sounders, lest I forget the Sounders. And then also Seattle U, right? They are the Seattle U Sports. Their soccer team is playing really well. So you add that, and there's just so much going on. And add the number times that by how well they're doing. That's why this has become a sports town. And so you've got so many choices. And I did say the Kraken and their preseason has already started. So it's all blending and mending and all kind of meshing. A potpourri is what you now have on any given weekend, which we like. We do like. And for you, our listeners, that means you get you get to taste, the potpourri, but more of like a dim sum. Get out the big soup and we're going to put it all in there every week. We're going to give you insight, as we always do, and then some analysis, as we always say, kind of not the what happened, but how. So to talk about kind of the how, as we go all the way around, is Brandon Brown, my brother. Come on and join the show.
How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
Hey, what do you got on there?
This is a Nike shirt.
Well, I meant the color.
Oh, yeah. Hey, still a good color. Regardless of what the conversation is going to be.
I was more thinking is that a rave green? You're kind of...
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of rave green shirt.
Okay, all right.
I thought you going more action green with the Seahawks there.
Whoa, see, I was
Yeah.
Speaking of the Seahawks, Right. Well, let's start there. Right. You happened to see them. You went to the game.
Yep.
In fact, you pulled one of those broadcaster special. We won't go too much into what happens, but in terms of we went down to Allegiant Stadium to see the Sounders, and came back, went to the Husky game. We'll talk about that with Cal. And you actually left that same night to head to the airport so you could see the Seahawks take on Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah, when we got back from Vegas, too, I had a Seattle U broadcast, so it was a packed little event week there. So yeah, it was broadcast special is a good way to put it.
Yeah, well, there you go, and it's don't cry for Argentina, don't cry for us. We get it. We're not bragging, exactly. But we're kind of giving people an insight. So, what did you see in terms of Minnesota? First of all, give us the ambiance, what you saw, and then kind of what the game was like.
The ambiance was amazing just because that was Minnesota's first time, as many teams are now having their first time back in a stadium. And anybody who's seen that stadium knows it's beautiful. And Minnesota sports fans are dedicated, and it was loud. They're the glass doors that are in the west end zone opened up, so it's a beautiful 80-degree day, packed, loud, skull chant going. So that was against the Seahawks from the start, I think. As they usually host people in a bad or a tough environment, Vikings got to do it to them. And it was, especially since Russell was 7-0 against the Vikings, I think you felt it in the air a little bit that they wanted to get this one. But as in terms of what I saw, it was much like the Tennessee game early where Seattle looked unstoppable on offense. They were quick. That drive, I think they hit DK about 4 times, including the touchdown reception. And they looked the better team early. But this is where things get a little concerning for the Seahawks, where the Vikings started to wear them down a little bit, and they figured out their offense. And after the halftime, adjustments seemed to be made with Minnesota where they weren't made with Seattle. And Minnesota came out, and you heard in the post-game interviews that a lot of the Seahawks players were saying they out-schemed us. We tried to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them, and they just seemed to shut it down. And they tried everything on offense and defense, and the Vikings seemed prepared. And I don't want to say the Seahawks are a bad team because Minnesota could easily be 3-0. And I know everybody could be easily 3-0, but a fumble call that was iffy against Cincinnati where Dalvin Cook was down by all views, and then a field goal that stings for any Minnesota sports fan when they talk about missed field goals was, I think, a 34-yarder that they missed to beat Arizona. So that wasn't a pushover Viking team. But I think there's a lot of concerns and a lot of holes that have been poked in Seattle that people necessarily didn't think were going to be there.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, it was almost a setup, right? Any NFL team, that's been on the road for the first 2 games comes home. If you're a decent team, you're going to win that. And like you said, the first time fans are there. But you and I, we talk quite a bit, and I said that was you could see that coming as a loss. Let's go into this kind of what's going on with the Seahawks, because they've only scored 6 points in the last 4 quarters in the second half.
Yeah.
In other words, they didn't score any points in the second half against the Vikings, and they only scored that field goal. I mean, they scored a touchdown and a missed extra point against the Titans. So going back to out-scheme, what do you see is happening? We'll start with offense, right?
Mm-hmm. Offense, it's the quick starts that I honestly think, this is so weird to say, I think the quick starts are hurting them. They, for so many years with Russell Wilson, fans have been saying, let Russ cook, let Russ do this, let Russ. But they're kind of not setting up the run game that we're used to with Pete Carroll. So when they try to go back to that in the second half, it's not established yet. And teams are just bringing the pressure on Russell. And they're shutting down the run anytime Chris Carson or whoever's coming out of the backfield is getting a touch. I think it's nice to start quick, but they're also not establishing what it takes to dominate a game. And the Vikings did that. And the Tennessee Titans did that in the second half. They got the run going, which kept the defense on the field longer, set up the play action pass. And we know the struggles of the defensive backs for Seattle, and they're not the best we've had. And, Diggs and Adams are the safeties. They're doing well, but the corners just aren't able to cover well. And I know a lot of them have come out and said, we're doing a poor scheme. We're looking bad because of the scheme. But I just think this defensive backfield isn't great. And I think it's really showing up because they're on the field a lot more. And I think the offense is losing leads because they're now relying on the pass a little too much.
So you're saying they should run the way they're scripting? We'll stay in the offense because we got from Pete, and then we'll actually listen to Russell a little bit after this. But so to your point, are you saying they're scripting too many of the offense? Because people that are out there listening, most NFL offenses and teams will script the first 15 or 20 plays, right? And so you're saying they're finding success in those first 15 when they're not running, so then they abandon it. So you saying they should be scripting more run plays in that 15 to 20 chart?
Correct. Yes. And I think it was the new offensive coordinators coming in and trying to let Russ run the offense a little bit more, but it's kind of hurting them. Yeah, it's nice to score early, but I think the way they're scoring early is what's hurting them. I know it's a weird and it's kind of, in a circle here, but I really do think they need to establish the run more to set up the pass later in games rather than setting up the pass early and trying to run off of that in the second half, because that's not how you control a game. Time of possession, they're losing. They're losing in the stats that the Seattle Seahawks football teams of the greats didn't lose, and that's really concerning.
All right. A big thing we asked Pete last Monday about third downs, but let's hear from Russell Wilson about staying the course and about the offense. And this is what Russell Wilson had to say when asked about their offense.
Well, I think that we were moving the ball extremely well in the first half. I think our tempo was great. We're in and out of the huddle, all that kind of stuff. We really had two possessions really in the one in the third and one in the fourth, and then we had that 2-minute one where I thought we hit Penny for a touchdown. They made a good play on it with like 4 minutes to go, 3:50 or whatever to go. They had a chance there on fourth down. So I think that we just have to stay the course. We're a good offense. We can do a lot of great things. It's going to be challenging sometimes. It's not going to be you're not going to be able to score every single time necessarily. But I think that we had that the drive in the third quarter where they made one or two good plays on that, and then we got the ball middle of the fourth, and we could have been a little bit crisper on the, here and there, and so. I just think that we got to stay the course. We got a challenge ahead of us.
All right, stay the course. And, of course, we all know that any cuts we're going to play and people are going to hear, they're going to be very positive, except to your point about the defensive, about the DBs. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But a couple quick stats in terms of third down. They're actually 11 of 29, which is 38%. Their opponent is 20 of 41, which is 49%. Glaring issue there?
Terrible issue, and that's the down you got to convert. And you also, I think it's the most important down in football, obviously. I think, you set up first down is important. I would put that second because you want to set up second and third down. But converting and keeping your offense on the field, but more importantly, when your defense is struggling, keeping your defense off the field so they can rest is an important down. And it's just glaring right there that the defense is staying on for prolonged times while the offense is getting off and leaving points on the field.
Yeah, the rushing first downs, they have 17. Now, again, this is stats, so sometimes, but they have 17 first downs running the ball. Opponents have 26, which is not good, but they're actually averaging 5.13 yards per rush, and the opponents are 4.47 yards per rush. But again, when you start delving into statistics, that's not really the point here. Offensive line, an issue for you?
Not as much as I thought it would be. I think the reason that Russell's getting pressured again is, and I'm tired of harping on this, is play calling. I think that the offensive line, for the most part, has given Russell time And he's been getting the ball out quicker, which I think was a indictment on Russell for so many years, that he likes to hold the ball for the big play rather than getting out quick. I think overall the offensive line has played better than I would have expected.
Yeah, I think what's hurting them a little bit, there was always a question about Kyle Fuller going in,
Yep.
right? With Ethan Posick, Kyle Fuller, that competition never really played out because Posick was hurt during training camp, and he was banged up last game. So I'm going to take a different road here, and I think the offensive line has no continuity, especially on that side, because Brandon Shell has, started out, then was injured. So Jamarco Jones came in for him. And then last game, Jake Kern had to play right tackle. So I think the right side of that line is what's hurting them a little bit in terms of establishing that run. I get it. They got to call the run, but I think there's some type of issue there as well. So let's hear from Pete Carroll, just in terms of state of the team and what they need to do.
We've been through a lot, and the leadership can speak on a lot of different topics and help guys understand how things go and the how seasons, the course of seasons and how many games are left. I mean, all that kind of stuff. We really have really good voices in there to help. And, I'm trying to do my part. The coaches are trying to do their part. Be realistic and, not follow the storylines that come from outside here. We got to take care of business in here. No, they, like I've said, they've been playing good football, and we weren't able to get them off the spot, rushing the passer enough. Cousins had a really good day, and by the time the game was over, they were able to run it too later in the game. So we didn't change their rhythm enough to offset them and cause any bad plays happening. We're in a little bit of a spell here where we haven't gotten the football away from our opponents enough, and it shows up. They continue to move the football, and if you don't take it off them, sometimes it's hard to get out off the field. And it was nothing conceptually that they did or that we did that was the issue. They executed well. It came down to third down winning, as it so often does. Yeah, well, the game turned out. We kept them in front of us is really what we did, and we had a lot of respect for the receivers and all. But that's kind of how the game went, and it felt like that a little bit. They threw the ball underneath us quite a bit, and we didn't do much to disrupt that. So, I thought they played a pretty solid conservative game, but didn't make any plays that could change it for us. We could have used a couple here and there, and unfortunately, we didn't get anything from many of the guys on that side of the ball. We need more. We need to be more effective. We have not disrupted the quarterback. I mean, that shows you in terms of the turnovers and us being able to get after that football. It starts there. Our guys are working it. They're busting their tails to get it, and we just need to work together. I think the whole thing needs to work together tighter, and we cause some holding the football on the quarterback's point, and sometimes we disrupt, and it just needs to work together more effectively, and we're working for that. You can play off the ball and sit in cloud cover techniques where you have a chance to jump those routes. So that distance isn't always telling you what the story is, but I think you're trying to get me to talk about the corner play and trying to get me to tell you that there's an issue or something there. We got to get better. We got to work harder at our stuff. We got to make sure that we're putting our guys in the best positions, and they got to take advantage of it. That's the way it is.
All right. Speaking to it's almost like you asked him the question.
Yeah.
So you want to elaborate on that and kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah. What did you expect from Pete to say? You expected him to throw his corners under the bus as players. That's not who he is. He's a player's coach. I think he answered it like a politician. He danced around the issue and said he gave a lot of praise to the opponent while saying, there's some things we have to fix, this and that. And he's not wrong. I, till the death of me, will defend and saying Minnesota is a top quality team. And you give a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who's highly underrated, some of the best weapons. I would say he has 2 top 20 receivers in Thielen and Jefferson, And although he did not play, a top 5 running back in Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, one of the best backups who ran for over 100 yards. That's a team that's hard to defend when you're trying to find a defensive identity. And I know scheming's kind of hard against a team like that. So I completely understand what Pete was trying to say. And it's not necessarily time to hit the panic button, but the play needs to be better, whether they need to find out what they really need to do to match up, because they're in the toughest division when it comes to weapons and quarterbacks and this and that you have to face. So whatever scheme he thinks he needs to find, it needs to be sooner rather than later. And this week is going to be a great test against the Niners.
All right, let's go there. I was going to kind of talk about the scheme, but in terms of some people were saying the scheme that Minnesota ran was having the receivers run behind the linebackers in front of the DBs. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of what Greg Bell, our guy, was kind of saying, well, why didn't you switch that? And Pete, like you said, politician, was talking about, well, we got to get push off the defensive line, which they do. But let's go to the 49ers. Absolutely. So, boy, oh boy, here you go. 49ers are coming off a loss to Green Bay. So they are, they ain't happy either. And let me just let me throw some numbers at you, and then I'll kind of have you break it down. So right now, total offense, the Seahawks offense is ranked number 11, 49ers 19th. But they actually balanced 49ers. That is, their rush offense is 16th at 105 yards. Their pass offense, this again in the NFL wide, is 16th at 243. So that's a balanced offense, and they're scoring 28.7, tied for ninth, points per game. What does Seattle need to do to make the change here? Because you've got Elijah Mitchell, you've got Jimmy Garoppolo, say what you want, but you got Deebo Samuel. Man, that's such a cool football name. But anyway, so where do you go from here, Coach?
Man, it's another tough matchup, especially since it's at Levi Stadium down in Santa Barbara, wherever that stadium is, and it's Santa Clara. That's one of those Santas, right? It's a tough matchup. First throw-out talent-wise, it's a division game, and just like when you get to conference play in college sports, playing your division rival in football is hard because that's the team that sees you more than anybody, and they're going to see them twice this year. They established a rivalry over the past 10 years. It's a tough matchup, and you didn't mention George Kittle either, who's had a slow start, but is Seahawks have notoriously not matched up well with the tight end despite having great linebackers. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think Garoppolo is another one of those, like Kirk Cousins, highly underrated because, quote unquote, he doesn't win the big games or whatever. I think he's only lost, including last week, 5 games as a starter. So he knows how to win games, and 49ers know how to win at home. And it's I don't want to say it's a trap game because I think that term is overused because every game in the NFL you can lose because talent's great. But it's a game that is very concerning, especially with the Rams coming up next. I think 49 or the Seahawks to bust out into Schmetzer territory. You can't look ahead to the next week. They might overlook the 49ers a little bit, thinking about the Rams coming to town, which I think is a primetime game. So it's going to be a tough game.
I don't know. See, I play point counterpoint. I think I was following you there. I don't think it's a trap game. I can't see it being a trap game. To your point, the Seahawks have a 4-day turnaround. They play Sunday, then Thursday night they host the Rams. But there's also this thing where you're like, wait a minute, kind of what the Huskies did. These are non-conference games, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Let's win the 49ers game. Now you're back to 2-2, and it's one of those that it's a 1 win, but it's actually a 2 win. Because you win this game, you come back at home and you're 38 and 33, prime time and all that. But I actually think it's the game of the season for the Seahawks. You lose this and you go to 1-3. Sure, the Rams game, but you're going to be playing catch up so much. I think you have to win this game. This is a must game for the Seahawks to salvage. But definitely it would be tough for them to salvage the season. I know, what am I saying? But that's a tough division. So
yeah, it'll be different, as you said, if they're in the East, the NFC East or something. But because you're in a division that's so tough, it's digging out of a hole when your opponents continue to dig it for you is not great.
And I would look for Sidney Jones to maybe play. If you were looking at how the Seahawks go in here, absolutely. I think they have to establish the run and their zone runs. They haven't been doing that at all. We talked about it again, but I think it's the 49ers as well. Now 49ers got some players, right? I mean, so on defense, and it's going to be a very tough matchup. So we might as well wrap this up. So what are you looking at in terms of Nick Bosa is the one that I was trying to stutter my way through, but there you go. And Dre Greenlaw, right? Bosa's got 3 tackles so far, and Dre Greenlaw 3 sacks, and Greenlaw already has an interception. Seahawks have no interception, to your point. What are you looking at in terms of the outcome here, or what has to be done? It's up to you.
Right. I'll go with what has to be done because prediction, it's anything could happen. So I'll say what needs to happen, as to your point, the run needs to be established, but it needs to be established early. Don't look to get DK and Tyler warmed up. They're always going to be warmed up because they're burners. They can get you over the top. They can do this. Don't look to establish them, which I think Pete Carroll, after DK took some slack the first 2 games for, he was a little emotional and wasn't the impact player that he usually is. I felt like he tried to establish him on that first drive against Minnesota and got him the touchdown. But, I think Carson's the one that needs to warm up, get his legs going, get that going, control the clock too. Take the ball away from Jimmy Garoppolo, keep your defense off the field. I think is a recipe for success. I think on paper, Seahawks have a more talented team. So I would say make sure your team is on the field. Make sure your offense is on the field as long as possible in this one. Get back to smash mouth football and maybe let Russell only throw the ball 20 to 23 times. Make sure that it's few off the play action, let the run set up, and you control the game. Make sure Jimmy and that defense get tired out.
All right. Okay. I think Russell has to throw the ball. I know it's interesting. You said 20 times?
I said 20, 25. The early Russell, sometimes you need to win games like that. And I think letting the run, Russell said in that post game that he felt like our flow was good. We were getting in and out of the huddle quickly. Well, that's great, except for, that means your plays go by fast. That means you don't drain time. You're not on the field long. You get off the field quick. So I think establishing the run and maybe letting Russell just not throw as much just for this game.
All right. I think he has to throw 25 plus, but it's not how many, it's where he throws it. Right. So I think those 10 in, out, those type of things to complement your zone runs. Start with we agree, the zone runs, right? In terms of Carson going there. And I think Eskridge is going to be back, the rookie.
That's huge too.
Yeah, so should be out of concussion protocol. He was out yesterday, and so they're looking for him. One note is kind of wait and see. Injury report came out yesterday. Was Jared Everett is on COVID protocol.
I saw that. Yeah.
Don't even know if, whether he could play or not, just because is he vaccinated or not. And so the rules say if he's vaccinated, he can take another test. There's a 24-hour kind of timeline to see there. So we'll see. We'll get the injury report again today. So real quickly before we go on break here, look at Carson's numbers. The last 2 games, 11 carries, 44 yards. That was last January the 1st. And the last time, again, at San Francisco. And then here, again, another game, 25 carries, 89 yards. So they actually get to that. They are giving him the ball against 49ers. A quick scan here. 93 yards, 69 and 119, 89, 44 yards. Yeah. look for him to. He's averaging probably math here. I would say probably about 15 carries a game against the 49ers last season. That's kind of what he does there. So we shall see. All right, we're gonna go on break, man. So we're talking little Mariners, little Sounders, little Huskies. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, Brandon Brown is co-hosting today. I'm Mazvita Maraire. This is Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. We'll be right back.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Friends of Waterfront Seattle presents Pier Sounds, an October concert series at Pier 62 on the downtown Seattle waterfront, featuring sensational regional bands and artists, including Devon Lewis and Friends on October 9th. These free, family-friendly concerts welcome everyone to come and enjoy live music and the sights and sounds of Seattle's waterfront. Pier 62 was home to one of the most iconic and popular music events in the city, Summer Nights on the Pier. Pier Sounds concert series forges this memory with new energy and music on a revitalized Pier 62 to reignite the sense of celebration and community in the place where it all began. Pier Sounds new concert series at Pier 62.
Visit peersounds.org for free tickets and more info.
Different rules apply when it gets this late. You know what I mean? It's like after hours.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
Hello. I'm an unpaid spokesman for DJ Sotovaci. I'd like to invite you to listen to his free-form music show. It's popular music the way it was never intended to be heard. Whatever gets you through the night, late nights, here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Whatever gets you through the night.
And welcome to our live studio audience for another exciting edition of Did You Know? And here we go with round one. Did you know?
The COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did you know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round. Did you know?
The Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did you know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine. Did you know?
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not meeting Mrs. Jones in that cafe for a chat and nothing else, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
All right. Back for second half. We made our adjustments and we make halftime adjustments. Yeah, that's what we do. And any good squad does that. So, Mazvita Maraire, this is Seattle Sports Weekly. Yeah, I just had to let that little song linger a little bit there. And again, that's my niece, Chuoniso, God rest her soul. But yeah, boy, I got some family members who can sing. Yeah, you don't want me to sing, but yeah, that's one of her. That is one of her tunes. So we'll talk music some other time, pop culture. But again, so we're back here, Seattle Sports Weekly, Metro Sport Metro is coming up tonight. And D Money, can you throw up the flyer for Metro Sports? I think we've got a flyer, what's happening tonight. So if y'all don't know, there it is, right there. We do the high school edition Metro Sports Weekly with Pat McCarthy. He is the director of Metro League Athletics. And, so tune in. We got really kind of a Garfield slant show on it, but it's really neat. And we're going to hear from the Garfield cheer coach and Adrena Hill. Leah Davis will join us as well. And get to know. I don't know if y'all know, but Brandon Brown is co-hosting today for Lars Hanson, who's on assignment. Brandon, I know you do high school for the WIA, but did you know that cheerleading is a sport?
Yeah, we broadcast the state championships and all of the cheers, the levels. So yeah, I was well informed on that one. I haven't done the broadcast for cheer. I probably would not be the best one for that case, but I did know just because it's on our streams.
Now, who's our stream? Because it ain't Rainier Avenue Radio.
No. Eli Sports Network. We do the high school. We do where you guys do, a lot of streams like through Facebook and everything like that. We do the broadcast through the NFHS, which is the national body of high school athletics. So we do that stream online through the NFHS. We're just the local affiliate. So we do a lot of local games, obviously. But I'm in charge of the Metro and the Kinko. So, running around quite a bit. Oh, I guess and SBSL, so down south.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
National. Okay. But hey, it's all one big family because I think in the name of the kids, right?
Yeah, I actually think you guys kicked me off a broadcast. I had a doubleheader at Memorial Stadium this Friday, and I think you guys took the first game Ballard from me. So a little bit of jarring, but no, it's all good. As long as the kids are getting recognized, as long as the kids are getting on, that's fine with me. And I guess a little less work for me, right? I got to take a little bit of a break.
Okay, shots fired. Hand down. Well, thanks for it's that's the one thing that Rainier Avenue Radio does well, covering the Metro League, and that's why we have the show. But yeah, no, thank you for the partnership because it's amazing. All the different stuff we're doing for the Metro League, and it's great to see, other platforms using it to make this nationwide. I mean, a state which then, showcases athletes in the state of Washington. So it's all connected. And we got D Money. Who do we have this week? Well, we're talking. We're gonna talk. Who we broadcasting this week on Rainier Avenue Radio Football? I know we got some football games, correct? We'll throw up a fly here in a moment, but then I know we've got some. We're going to broadcast some games. There it is, Rainier Beach against Ballard. Is that the one you're talking about, Brandon?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking because the Memorial Stadium holding in the doubleheader. That's the first game, Rainier Beach versus Ballard, and the second game I believe is Eastside Catholic versus. I'm blanking on the top of my head right now, but the second game. I'll be live streaming there as well. So, yeah, it's a big matchup. Eastside Catholic and Garfield, excuse me. So the Bulldogs and Eastside Catholic, which looks like you guys have too, but at least we got in there for the video rights for that one as well.
Whoa, so it's going to be broadcast on 2 platforms?
Yeah, looks like it, yeah.
Wow.
Big coverage.
All y'all tune in to RainierAvenueRadio.org. I won't.
Hey, we're subscription-based. I'm making money either way.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. So, boom. You a baseball fan?
Big baseball fan.
Big baseball fan, huh?
Yeah.
So, did you know the Mariners won last night 4-2?
I did. Watched it. Stayed up.
Oh, I tell you what. Why don't we hear from Scott Service? Because just a couple little game notes here. The Mariners are now 0. I mean, they're half a game back in the wild card standings, and they're 19 games over 500 for the first time since August 12th, 2019, when they were 69-50. Did you know that?
I did not know this. I didn't realize it was so recent. I thought it would have to throw back to 2001, but that's a stat.
Yeah, that's what's funny about the Mariners. You know, there's this whole like he'll never do it. They never do type of thing. But I thought what they did last night, and we're going to hear Scott Service talk about this, and then the fans, that they beat the A's 12 consecutive games, which is, you just don't.
Not easy.
It's not. It's not easy. So I tell you what, D Money, can we hear a little bit from Scott Service about the Mariners win and where they're at?
Not there yet, but that felt like a playoff game. And I know I started out last night saying it, and I'm going to say it again tonight. Our fans were awesome. Thank you so much for everybody who was out there tonight. It was weird when the game started. I didn't see the whole bottom section full. And then as I looked up in the sixth inning with Kelenic at the plate, I happened to look in the stands and the whole bottom section was full. So either they just walked in the ballpark or they moved down to better seats. I don't know, but we could certainly hear them. And thanks for everybody out there tonight and helping our guys along. We've just played 13 consecutive days at a point in the season where everybody's dragging, and we won 11 of those games. Unbelievable effort by our guys. So proud of them. But this is fun. This is the way baseball's supposed to be at this time of year, and we still got a lot of big games ahead of us. So tonight, for me, the highlight really was we sent the 24-year-old to the mound. We had a 24-year-old catching him, and we had a 22-year-old in center field. And that's super exciting. If you're a Mariners fan and part of this organization, you should feel very good about where we're headed in our future, and the experiences that those kids gain tonight will help them for many years to come. So Logan did it with one pitch. He did not have a secondary pitch tonight. It has been, really improving for him, but the slider was not there. The changeup was, inconsistent, but he had a really good fastball. And to get us into the sixth inning, he really gutted it out. I thought the last 15, 20 pitches he threw were a little bit fuzzy. It wasn't what we saw early in the game, but he found a way to get outs. Did a heck of a job there. And of course, our bullpen again. I know those guys are running on fumes right now, but they find a way to get the big outs. And even Diego, I thought he threw the ball well. He just made the one mistake to Brown, and Seawald picks us up and Steck again after that. So nice night there. Offensively, obviously Kelenic with the big double. And I know I said it earlier, but I looked up and you could just everybody in the ballpark's on their feet. It's the sixth inning of the game. That's fantastic. And for Jared to come through like that, awesome night for him. Ty France swung the bat well, and Toro, the big add-on homer late. We needed every little extra run, little cushion for Steck. We just beat the Oakland A's 12 times in a row. That's really, really hard to do. We've been on the other side of that a little bit in dealing with the Houston Astros. So it's tough. Our guys did not back off, and we need an off day, and really looking forward to the weekend. So I'll take any questions.
All right. There's Scott Service. Thankful for the fans and also the young team. And to his point, Logan Gilbert threw 5.2 innings. He only gave him one run, which is solo home run, and that's what he was talking about. And 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, just a wild pitch. In 92 pitches and 55 strikeouts. What are you seeing? What did you see last night in terms of Gilbert and the young Mariners?
Yeah, and that was the big goal. Gilbert was one of the top prospects in the farm system before he got called up, and I think he's pitched really well since coming up. Talked about Kelenic and center field. I mean, it's the youth movement is very good, and it lends to that. We believe Mariners. What year was that? 2000 or 1990, whatever it was. That the We Believe Mariners, and you see a lot of the Ted Lasso Believe signs out in the stadium. I think it's a scrappy team, and I think that's what they needed to be because they're young. And their veterans are really veterans. You think about Seager, how long he's been here. They're scrappy, and they're not going to go down without a fight. And usually you saw a Mariner team get down by, 3-4 runs, and you thought the night was over. But this team has consistently battled back. I think they were down 0-3 2 nights ago after the first inning, and they battled back. And, it's just that scrappy nature that this team needs. And I would like to shout out going to when you open the show, talk about how it's a big time in Seattle sports. I think the Mariners needed this year now. Regardless if they make the playoffs, this was a great season for a lot of people, and it shows the future. But with the Kraken coming in, I think with other sports teams doing so well, and in my opinion, the Sonics within 5 years, they need a good season to make sure fans don't forget them and don't put them at the bottom tier. So I think this was a good time for the Mariners to finally step up.
I tell you, man, you are one of those Sonic diehards. Like, thank you for the hope. For me, I don't,
I think the league's losing too much money, and I think that a lot of reports are that an expansion fee would help alleviate the COVID years for the NBA. So I'm just saying, new arena, it's there, and there's plenty of money in the city. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean, it's all good. I have amnesia, and I don't even watch NBA games just because, I'm still the jilted lover, and I don't go out, so to your point, the Mariners have recorded 4 consecutive comeback wins for the first time since July 25th to 28th versus Detroit. So, they are playing well. All right, so we should jump to the Huskies. Because they've got what did you see? The Huskies come back. They beat Cal. But the Huskies beat Cal. So now their record, which is a big win, right? Because it was a conference win. You confident about the Huskies playing Oregon State next week? What's your thoughts? What did you see last week?
Last week I saw a team that faded, and they had to come, obviously, and win that one in overtime. And, thank goodness for the fumble was on the 1 yard line that I had to listen to in my car because, as you said, going to the airport, I had to leave it. As soon as overtime, as soon as they missed the field goal, Cal did, I had to jump in my car and leave you guys at the stadium. But it was a team that just held on. But I think in college football, different than NFL, doesn't matter how you win as long as you win conference games. Every conference game can be ugly as long as you keep winning. I think the offense is starting to look a lot better. I think the defense wasn't really a question mark. I think this defense is pretty solid. But you're playing an Oregon State team, now to answer your second question, not super confident. Oregon State looks really good. They're coming off a huge win over USC. I think it was the first time they won in LA since 1940. Oregon State's a good team, and they put up a battle. There's been many years over the past decade or so where Oregon State's been ranked and been good. I think this is one of their better teams. Going down to Corvallis will be interesting. You and I down there. It'll be interesting to see that environment and how loud that crowd is and how much pressure they can put on Morris in this offense. But confidence-wise, not great. But just keep winning at the end of the day.
Really?
I know you're Mr. They were gonna possibly lose to Cal, but this and that. But I think this is where you thought they might lose to Cal. This was my game on the schedule that I thought would be the surprising loss. Certainly not Montana, but this would be the surprising loss against the Beavers down in Corvallis.
Yeah, well said. There's something about the Huskies, about both of the local football teams about the second half, to your point, they really were just, they got stymied, again, making adjustments. You want to hear from Jimmy Lake kind of from last week and then and talking to one of our favorites, Mish Powell, and I don't know if you know this, but he's the first player that we had. He's the first player we had on the first edition of Metro Sports Weekly. So he's near and dear to our heart. But let's hear from Jimmy Lake, and we might cut this short, D Money. But can we hear from Jimmy Lake?
All right. Good morning. Well, first off, again, just extremely proud of our team. Showed a lot of grit, a lot of perseverance, things we talk about all the time. This beautiful game of football teaches you so much. And it was really rewarding to watch our guys grind through a tough game and be able to pull out the victory there at the very end. A lot of really exceptional performances in all 3 phases. And then yet, as we watch the film, there's still a ton to clean up. There's still a lot of room for growth, a lot of room for development and improvement. And that's what we did yesterday. We went right back to work. Our guys came out to practice, and they're ready to get better. Love the work ethic of this team. And we're excited to see, how us come out tomorrow on our Tuesday practice and see how much better we can get. With that, I'll take questions. But still the most... I think, it just comes down to execution against a team that's also really well coached with really good players who also are trying to compete and try to win the football game as well. And, you got to give a lot of credit to our opponent. They did a nice job of executing, things against our offense and our defense and our special teams. But it's just cleaning up those details, those little details that can push us over the top and make sure we're winning those battles in all three phases. Well, first it was a really good drive, and then penalties set us back, and we ended up having to settle for a field goal. And then after that, we get a big time turnover, and then we turn right around and we turn the ball over. We fumble the ball, which we don't want to do that. So that obviously stopped a critical drive there where we could really have extended the lead. And then the resuming possessions after that, it came down to us not converting on third down. And that goes, to the prior question of we have to execute better. We have to have better details and win those one-on-one battles. And Cal did a better job of executing those details in those critical third downs that we weren't able to convert and move the chains because we didn't reach the red zone again until overtime. After that, those third downs all got thwarted by Cal's defense, and they got us off the field, and we had to punt. 2 players thrust into starting positions and expected to play like starters, and that's what we expect for everybody. You never know when your number is going to get called. You're always one play away. If you're a backup right now, you're one play away from having to go perform and play at a high level like a starter. And Mish Powell played like a starter. And he's shown it in practice. He's shown it in training camps and spring football that he was willing and able to perform at that level. But you never know how it's going to be when the lights are shining bright. And I thought Mish played a very good football game for us. Huge confidence booster. We all know what Devin can do. And it has been unfortunate that he's had some glaring drops over the last couple of years. And for him to go out there and not have any drops and make some big time catches, especially early on in that game, to get our offense going and get our offense in rhythm and put some points on the board was a huge boost, not only for him, but for our football team. We're almost 100% healthy. I think they all add different things. The beautiful thing is they're all fast. They're all fast and they're hard to cover. And what I really like is Junior Adams, our wide receiver coach, has put a mentality in that room of toughness and grit. And so to say how they complement each other, I just like how competitive they are with each other, and they all want the football, and they're all willing to run that route to open up the route for the next guy. They want to make sure that they're continuing to work to be the best wide receiver unit in our conference. That's what their goal is, and that's what they're trying to do.
All right, there you go. Jimmy Lake, he's talking about the receivers, obviously, and talks a little bit about the offense, and coach speak about their inability. But that's a second game, kind of like the Seahawks storyline. Yep. They haven't scored 2 consecutive games. But I'm going to throw a couple of things at you, and then, these actually add to your point. The Beavers' offense is 473 yards. They lead the Pac-10 in total offense. And their number one rush.
Pac-12.
Did I say 10?
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah. Pac-12. I'm rushing. Yeah, Pac-12. Hey, some of us have been around. I remember when it was a Pac-8.
I've been around since the Pac-10. Not the Pac-8. I've been around since the Pac-10, though.
Well, fair enough. It is the Pac-12. So let me clean that up. 473 yards per game in total offense. And they are rushing 225.75, which is top in the Pac-12 and 17th nationally. Can the Huskies stop that run game?
That's a big ask. I think Oregon State, as you said, have done well on the ground all year long, and they played. Yeah, the one thing I would say, that look at the opponents they've beaten. Hawaii and Idaho, not top notch. Even though Hawaii gave them a little bit of a shot. USC's the shocker, but they're in a downswing. So the stats could be a little inflated there, but usually it's hard to stop a team's run attack while you're on the road because you don't have that crowd noise behind you. You don't have that communication necessarily. But it's a tall ask, but I think it's possible.
Anything's possible, to your point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But let's stay with the theme on what has to happen for the Huskies to win this game in Corvallis.
The clean football, and I think that was Lake talked about it. The turnovers when you're on scoring drives is the biggest thing. You got to protect the rock. Washington's been a little loose with it over the past 2 games. They've been able to win, but it's going to be protect the ball. You cannot give Oregon State short field. And another thing, Oregon State does what I like in football is because they run, they eat up clock. They make sure that your defense stays on the field. So get off the field and force turnovers. I think that will be the difference. I think whoever wins the turnover battle on Saturday will be the one who comes out with the win.
Okay, that's fair enough. So how do you force turnovers? The Huskies now have some turnovers, and Lake was all beaming about that. They come in bunches. But how would do you feel you can play a base defense against Oregon State, or do you have to rush? Well, you're gonna rush the edge, but I mean, do you have to blitz? Do you have to do anything radical for you to cause turnovers?
I don't think you have to you don't have to blitz necessarily. Obviously, like you said, they're going to rush the edge. I think just getting even you don't even have to hit the quarterback. Just get pressure on him, and the Washington defensive backs have shown they're good enough to make big plays. I think that's the flip of the Seahawks. That's the privilege, or that's the nice thing about having great defensive backs is that you can just get light pressure on a quarterback, and the defensive backs will make the big plays. And I think that's the inverse when you talk about the Seahawks, where the front line feels like they have to get pressure every time because as soon as that ball's out, they feel like they're going to get big yardage. So I think they need to be cautious of the run. I don't think they should overcommit to stopping it, though, because then that's where that play action opens up and kind of leaves your DBs on an island a bit. But I think they can play a base defense and get this win.
All right, probably got about a minute or so. So we didn't get to the Sounders, which is okay. Well, you know what? We're never going to get to all of it. But going back to the Huskies right quick, can they win with the Wildcat? Everybody knows the Wildcat now. So what do you have to do offensively? Great receivers, but what do you have to do offensively to win this game?
Do you beating a drum? Establish the run early and then continue to attack. You have great receivers, and I think that's Oregon State's. I think defenses they give up about 30 yards less a game than Washington. So yeah, it's a good defense, or 30 yards more, I believe, or whatever the flip is there. Yeah, more. So it's so close. It's just a hair. So I think this is a good game for Morris to establish himself after a rough start that he is a solid quarterback here in the conference.
Yeah, I would. They're going to run. They're going to run, and they should. The Huskies should, and not only just through the Wildcat going outside the tackles, but I would bring in Newton and a couple of those guys and go down the belly of that defense to soften them up. Go with the play action, and then use your wide receivers. Sounders win again. They win 3-1. Christian Rodin, 3 goals, 3 games.
Yep.
And any passing thoughts on the Sounders? Got a big game on Sunday.
Yep. Schmetzer said that they're going to have to bounce back and put the League's Cup behind them, and they did just that. They took care of a team in front of them in Kansas City and took care of a tough road game at San Jose. And as you said, Rodin on a good streak, got called up to Team USA. So it's a good time to be informed for the Sounders.
All right, there he is, Brandon Brown. Thanks for hopping on as the co-host. Appreciate you. We know you're always there, and so next time we're gonna do post game. I don't know from
the dam.
From post game from the dam. Look for that, y'all. Thanks again for hopping on. My brother Lars Hanson also, who said he's on assignment. He'll be back doing his thing. So again, Brandon Brown, Eli Sports. I'm Mazvita Maraire for Seattle Sports Weekly. And D Money, we can't do it without you with all the stuff you're doing behind the curtain there. So thank you. So up next is Afternoon with Monique. And she's going to talk with David Leon about he brought Pokey to Seattle. So that's it. We are out. Thank you all for listening. Seattle Sports Weekly is out. Thanks.